morning. Welcome. We're gonna have a very late start this morning. My oven was really cool this morning. The doors were left off, so we're gonna be waiting. It's all at 3:22 right now. So. Yeah, I'm working already. Yeah. That's how it is. It's the life of a baker. Bakers are rich, they say. No. I've never met a rich baker in my... Well, no, I've never met a rich baker in my lifetime. I'm doing all right, though. Still waiting for my pot to boil, and my oven is only at 326 degrees right now, so it's gonna probably be about 10 minutes before I start. Many provinces are raising the minimum wage to $15. Alberta just recently raised their minimum wage to $15. BC's still behind. I think our minimum wage is like $12 or something like that. It's minimum wage. But most jobs pay more than minimum wage here. I think the lowest in Canada for minimum wage is Saskatchewan, and I don't know. They're behind the times. You got to pay your workers what they need to live, right? Living wages are essential. I say that from experience. Any politician that says it can't be done is lying to you. Minimum wage should be $15, no matter what. Almost ready to go here. Well, actually we're not. Still only at 3:32. The doors were left off my oven last night, and so my oven is super cool right now. Or it was this morning. It's getting hot now. National Bathtub Day. Is it? Are you sure about that? Checkaday.com. Checkaday. There's a website for that? It's funny. Excuse me. Sorry. There's that taxi cab that cut me off this morning. I hate taxi cab drivers are the worst, especially in the morning. Hey, hello. They don't observe any kind of like traffic rules or traffic signs or anything. They don't mean anything at that time of the day, apparently. Man, it's really set me back. It's taking forever. Should go get a coffee from Starbucks. There's a Starbucks right over there. It'd be nice to have a coffee right now. I'm making bagels. I'm going to make bagels. I'm waiting for my oven to preheat though. The temperature's pretty low. I needed to get to 370 degrees. Yeah. It seems like it's a good time for coffee. But I'm waiting for my oven to get to 370 degrees because it's currently at 340. And my pot, I'm waiting for my pot to come to a boil as well. My pot of water to come to a boil. I think there's something wrong with this pot burner because it's not. It seems to be better now. The flames were low this morning though. Take us with you. I like in real life streaming, but I don't know. Don't watch the water boil. The thing is, I prefer the coffee that we make here. So I'm almost willing just to wait for the. Have I seen Venom? No, I haven't. I saw the Eminem video. I saw that. I'm making Montreal style bagels. Nah. I could give you a tour of our wall here. Here we have this fancy wall mural. Yeah, I'll give you a mural tour. Here's our mural. I don't know if you can see that very good. They're obviously you can see that they're anthropomorphized bagels. Those are Montreal style bagels right there. Walking and talking and live. Bagel. Here's our these are our washrooms. That's a bagel taking a crap. Anyways, that's our tour of that's our mural tour. Mural tour. Can't speak this morning, apparently. A Montreal style bagel is a bagel that is, they're boiled in honey. They're baked on boards. These are mahogany boards. I guess they don't necessarily have to be mahogany. They're baked on boards. They're boiled in honey water. They're usually baked in a wood fire oven. But we have gas fire ovens because it's more practical and they pollute less. So we use a gas fire oven here. But traditionally, Montreal style bagels are baked in a wood fire oven, and they tend to be smaller than New York style bagels. They have a harder crust and a dense, chewy crumb. And they tend to be a little bit sweeter than New York style bagels. Sweeter, more dense, and a crunchier, crisper crumb or crust. Sorry, I should say. The garbage man's looking at me funny right now. He's changing the garbage. He doesn't know who I'm talking to. Oh my god, this oven takes forever. Get up temperature. It's at 343 right now. Here, I'll show you the temperature. Actually, you can't really see back there anyways. Too much clutter down there. What's the National Food Day today? He said it was, the National Coffee Day, wasn't it? I don't know. I'm going to be waiting for another few minutes. It's only at 350. Vodka, National Vodka Day. I should get bacon.
Yeah.
Hello. Holy crap, that's taking forever. Hamlin, Townsend, Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last, the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking to think we buy gowns lined with ermine for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you are old and obese to find in the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking to find the remedy we are lacking, for sure as fate will send you packing." At this very corporation quaked with a mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown sell. "I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brave. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat, nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips were smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table. "Please, your honor," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm, to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper." And here they notice round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check, and at the scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I fred the cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia than I am, of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" 50,000 was the exclamation, an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept, to blow his pipe his lips he wrinkled, in green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and muttering grew to a grumbling, and a grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, grey rats, tawny rats, grave old potters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home his commentary. Which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses gripe, and moving away of pickle tub boards, and leaving a drawer of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking loops of butter casks, It seemed as if a voice sweeter far than by harp and by psalteries breathed, called out, "Oh, rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on, already staved, like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me. Just as methought it said, come bore me, I found the Wester rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells, they rock the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nests and block up the holes. Consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace, the first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc, with claret, moselle, vin de gras, hock, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was in joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell, and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promised a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, and accept the crime of the head hoods of pottage. All he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen of a nest of scorpions no survivor. With him I proved no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a ribald, with idle pipe and vesture piebald? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe with smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds adjusting and pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering. Like foals in the farm where barley is scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping ran merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood as if they're changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and wretched council's bosoms beat as the piper turned from the high street to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. However, he turned from south to west, and to Copplebrick Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. Well, lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced, and the children followed. When all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No one was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way. And in after years, if you blame the sadness, he was used to say, it's dull in our town since my playmates left. I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in just at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers were forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was bright and a peacock here, and her dogs outran our fallow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot would be speedily cured, the music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas for Hamelin, there came to many a burgher's pate a text which says at heaven's gate, opes the rich at as easy rate as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when he saw 'twas lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. and so long after what happened here on the 22nd of July, 1376, and the better memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor was sure for his future to lose his labour, nor suffered they hospital or tavern, shocked with mirth the street so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say, that in Transylvania there's a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way in dress, of which their neighbours lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were trepanned a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns and Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats, from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. Oh, this is a terrible morning. I'm not going to have much big by 7. A little known fact about the Pied Piper was that he was a baker before he became the Pied Piper. As a young man, before he went around the world, remedying people's problems with his pipe, he was a baker. That's what he did. He baked. Until a terrible event occurred. His whole life was rearranged and upset. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and most scarce able to afford the suppression of the glee that cursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What saved a waylay with his lies and snare all travelers who might find him posted there? And asked the road, I guess would skull-like laugh would break, what crutch could write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track which all agree hides the dark tower, it acquiescingly I deterred as appointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end described, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wandering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success should bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made, finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely or outside, since all is over, he saith, and a blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft been writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to dark towers search should dress their steps, that just to fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path and pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its astray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged the plain after pace or two, and pausing for backward a last view, over the safer 'twas gone, grey plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grown. but turtle and spurge according to their law might propagate their kind in the blunt and law. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No penry inertness and grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly, it nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents in the dog's harsh swarth leaves, bruised as to balk all hope of greenness? 'Tis a brute must walk, passing their life out with the brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair in leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, his every bone a stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service in the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red gaunt and callop neck strained, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such protest with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draught of earlier, happier sight. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of old times sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold an arm and mine to fix me to that place, that way he used. Alas, one night's disgrace, oh, at my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles, then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago, when knighted first, an honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts. Fall, what hangman's hand pinned to his breast a parchment. His own band reads it, poor traitor, spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the nights in a hallowed or a bad ass? When something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and changed their train. A sudden little river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial through the glooms. This as it frostbite might have been a bath of the fiend's glory hoof. To see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with flakes and spumes. So petty yet so spiteful, all along those scrubby alders kneeled over it. Drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair, a suicidal throng. The river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek. Each step or feel a spear I thrust to seek, the hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach the other bank, now for a better country. Vain presage, who are the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage trample could thus pad the dank soil to a plash? Toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage. The fight must so have seemed in that foul cirque. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footsteps leading to that horrid muse. None out of it. Mad Bruid set to work, their brains no doubt like galley slaves the Turk pits for his pastime Christians against Jews. More than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for, that wheel, or brake not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Coffin's tool, on earth left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came some stub ground, once of wood, next to marsh it would seem, now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool finds mirth, makes a thing and mars it, till his mood changes and off he goes, within a rude bog, clay and marsh, sand and stark black dearth. Now blotches rankling colored gay and grim, now patches where some leanness of the soils broke into moss or substances like boils. Then came a palsied out, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it recoils. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance, but the evening not, point my footsteps further after thought. Great black bird, Apollyon's bosom's friend, sailed past nor beat his wide wings dragon pen. It brushed my cap, perchance like the guide I sought. For looking up aware I somehow grew, the plain had given place all round to mountains with such names to grace mere heights and deeps now stolen of view. How thus this surprised me solidly, how to get from there was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief had happened to me. God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps, here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time, came a click as when the trap shuts you're in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once. This was the place. Those two hills crouched like two bulls locked horn in fight, while to the left the tall Scout Mountain danced doddered and dozing at the very nunts after a lifetime of training for the sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the round squat turret, blind as a fool's heart, built of round stone without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest is mocking out, points the shipman thus the unseen shelf he strikes on only when timbers start. Not see, because of night perhaps, why day came back for that. Behind it left the dying sunset, kindled through a cleft. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay. Now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here, because of night, when noise was everywhere, told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears of lost adventurers, my peers. How such was strong and such was bold and such was fortunate, yet each of old lost one moment knelled the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met, to view the last of me. For one more picture in a sheet of flame, I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless, a slunk one to my lips I set and blew. Child Roland to a dark tower came. Hey, hello. Sorry I missed that. I missed that comment. Somebody asked the question. Well, work, I guess. Yes, Simi 16. Yeah, come in. If you live in Richmond or Vancouver area, come in. Drop off your resume. I think we're hiring. So. I think we're always hiring. Yeah. I'm making bagels. I'm going to take out my second batch here in a second. I'll show you. I'm stiff neck.